Well, thank you guys for joining us today. We have some new faces, so we'll go through our slides and talk about 10 Capital a little bit. At Heart, we help startups and investors connect for funding. Next slide. Um, we've been doing this since 2009. We were originally called Texas Entrepreneurs Network. We're now called 10 Capital. And at Heart, we help startups and investors connect for funding. And we do that through helping the startup get the pitch deck ready, build diligence reports, do analytics on their deal. And on the investor side, we're helping them also with AI tools to screen, analyze, and diligence the deals as well. And so, in short, we provide the legwork, saving you both time and money. Next slide. We also help form capital for the early stage ecosystem. We help high net worths find limited partners, primarily family offices. So we're always helping them start family offices as well as they fund emerging managers. We help VC funds find limited partners, primarily high net worth and family offices, through our family office panel programs, which we do in New Mexico and in Texas. And finally, we help angel groups find members. We see a lot of individual angels who would do better as a member of a group than by themselves, and we connect them in with angel groups. So we're just trying to get more capital going into the early stage ecosystem. Next slide. We have several events. We're in one of them today, but the other ones include the 10 quick pitch. These are more technical deals that we have. It's also a 10-minute pitch, 10-minute Q&A that we do the third Wednesday of the month. We're in the Life Science Syndicate session today, so we have our life science companies. And then we also have an investor education session, which is both tech and life science, the second Tuesday of the month. And we invite in angel or VC to come in and give a short educational topic. And finally, we do in-person events. We do these in Austin in a speed match format, which we're doing here tomorrow. We will do next week in Houston, and then we do a lunch event in Dallas called the Scale Up Pitch. We also do events outside of Texas. Mostly, we recently did in December one in Los Angeles at the Baker Hostetler facility, and we'll be doing another one in March 11th there in Orange County. And we also do these in the Bay Area, New York, and DC. If you want to learn more about our events, go to 10capital.group and click on the events button, and you can see where we're going to be coming up in the near future. Next slide. So with that, let's go ahead and get started with the introductions. I'd like to introduce the investors first, and then we'll have our partners introduce themselves next. We do have some investors that are coming, but they're not asking questions. So if you see the microphone and the screen turned off, that means they're listening, but they're not in a position to ask questions. We'll be following up later with them for their interest. But let's start with Jeremy Schnell. Jeremy, can you tell us more about yourself and your group?
Yeah, fantastic. Good to meet you all. So my training formally is in science. So my PhD is in drug discovery and development. Spent about 10 years inclusive of my PhD. Had roles for all the way from head of R&D at a ophthalmology drug delivery startup. And then the last 2 years before this role, I was a fractional finance, business development, and fundraising consultant. So I was working with early stage life science biotech companies broadly, got into the ecosystem, kind of threw myself into it and met all kinds of people and eventually landed at OSF Ventures. And so we are the corporate venture capital arm of a rural Midwest healthcare system, 16 hospitals in the state of Illinois, one hospital in the state of Michigan, 25,000 employees. 10% of those are physicians and other what we call mid-level practitioners. We look at Series A and B typically. We also go later than Series B. Anything from medical devices to healthcare IT to digital health to tech-enabled services, diagnostics. We have not yet touched biotech and pharma, but the attitude I've been told is never say never. So it's kind of paradoxical because that's my background, but we'll see. 3 to 5 million for initial check size, and whatever we commit initially for a company, we reserve for follow-on financing throughout the life of the portfolio company.
Great. Great. Thanks, Jeremy. Paul, tell us more about yourself and what you invest in.
Yes, my name is Paul Stein. I've been in the medical device industry for about 35 years. And now for the past, 5, 6 years, I've been investing as an independent angel investor, primarily in medical devices. I know a little bit about that, and so that's what I invest in.
Great. Thanks. And Malika, can you tell us about yourself and what you invest in?
Yeah, for sure. I'm Malika Matthias. I'm with Finalis. I broker venture deals, mostly in early stage healthcare, so anywhere from C to Series B. Check size is anywhere from 1 million to 30. I'm also with Alumni Ventures and the Booth Angel Network. And so those are seed to Series A. Booth is sector agnostic, and Alumni, I focus on the healthcare side.
Great, thanks. Those are investors that will be asking the questions. We also have some partners here, and let's hear a little bit from them. Sean, can you tell us about what you do?
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Sean Hardy, CEO of US Trade Consult. I kind of work at the intersection of US market entry, trade and investment, and economic development, consulting companies that are also looking to connect with access to capital and investors. So I see a lot of pitches and engage with other investor groups and try to leverage funding for them.
Great, thanks. Alice, can you tell us about yourself and what you do? You're on mute. Hate to make you do it again.
I'm sorry, and I'm looking at two screens. I apologize. I'm a business lawyer here in Austin. Have worked in New York as well. And while I work with a lot of technology companies, another little niche practice I have is assisting non-US companies when they're ready to have a US presence.
Great, thanks. And Phyllis, can you wrap us up and tell us more about yourself and what you're working on?
Hi, I'm Phyllis Hopsway, and my company is DRP Business Consulting. I work with the University of Texas out of Austin, their research center. Their Texas Global Group is one of the groups I consult with. I specialize in helping startups and new product development basically figure out how to get commercialized. We work with our international sister universities. So my role for the university is to look at products that they're trying to get entry into the US, whether it's beta, startup, they're trying to get it funded, whatever they might be looking at. And my job is to basically validate it and make sure it is viable for the US. I specialize in biosciences area, biomedical, and then also in the semiconductor industry. And I do that for the university. I also do it for private clients. So
Great.
that's what I do.
Thank you for joining us today. So
You're
with that,
welcome.
let's kick off with our presentations. Each company will get 10 minutes to pitch and then 10 minutes of Q&A from the investors itself. If we don't need the entire time, that's fine too. But first, we'll start with AngieX. Paul, if you could launch your slides and kick off when ready. And we'll give you a full 10 minutes to go through your presentation, and then we'll ask the investors their thoughts on it. At the end of the session, I'll ask each investor which companies you would like to learn more about. So think in mind what that might be. And with that, Paul, go ahead and kick off.
All right. Thank you, Hal. So I have a very exciting company to tell you about. We've made a very exciting drug. And that drug we call AGX 101. It's the fruit of 24 years now of biology research and 13 years of drug development. And it exploits a transformative biology that was discovered by two of our founders who are leaders in the field of angiogenesis. That's the formation of new blood vessels. And the goal of their work was to find a universal therapy that would work in all solid tumors by attacking the growing tumor blood vessels without harming the non-growing vessels in the rest of the body. And they did discover a way to do that, and it turns out to be perfect for a type of drug called an antibody-drug conjugate. And we made such a drug. This is what it looks like. Blue is the antibody. The antibody provides homing to the tumor. And in yellow is the drug payload. That's a small molecule that provides efficacy. And it turns out that the same biology that the endothelial cells use to grow new blood vessels, the tumor cells use to invade and metastasize. And so we can attack all of the malignant tumor cells across all solid cancers. So terrific potential. And there's a third mechanism of activating anti-tumor immunity, which arises out of the vascular injury that we inflict. And so we've got potential to be a universal therapy that will help every patient. And the drug is performing very well in the clinic. So I would say it's Everything is consistent with our hopes at the start of the trial. And so investors have a terrific opportunity to enter now. And there is a potential thousandfold uh, value inflection over the course of a single digit number of years. This is a description of our drug, a few details. But the key thing is we've been the only people working in this field throughout this time. There's been hardly any academic research, only 175 papers in PubMed over 45 years, and no other drug developers. And that's enabled us to get a really fantastic patent position. We have 12 patent families and freedom to operate and very strong protection against competition. This is really the magic of the drug. We do successfully attack the angiogenic vessels of the tumor and the immediate neighborhood of the tumor without harming vessels elsewhere. And the result is we eliminate the blood supply to the tumor. So it's starved of nutrients and oxygen, and that leads to a necrosis in the tumor. So it creates a necrotic wound, and that appears to work against every solid tumor. And now I mentioned tumor cells in order to invade and metastasize, they need TM4SF1. And as a result, TM4SF1 is highly expressed across all solid cancers. And so just for comparison, this is a comparison with the targets of other approved antibody drug conjugates. The most successful one is here in orange, HER2, and HER2 is higher in breast cancer, but lower in every other cancer. And so we can have a huge impact through this tumor cell killing as well. And then we have a third mechanism when we injure the tumor blood vessels and make the tumor wounded organ, without wounding any other place in the body, then the immune system goes in. And every time you have a wound, it goes in, it looks for germs. So it sends in cytotoxic T cells, natural killer cells, antigen presenting cells looking for germs or anything else foreign and trying to kill them. And so our drug sends that immunologically warm immune response into the tumor with every dose. And what we found is that when we combine with immune checkpoint inhibitors, which help the immune system see the cancer cells as foreign, then we very commonly get tumor-free responses where the immune system eradicates every tumor cell. That happens in about 70 to 80% of animals in preclinical models, even if there was a 0% response rate to checkpoint inhibitors without our drug. And so that works equally well with PD-1 as CTLA-4. So these checkpoint inhibitors, they currently earn $50 billion a year. They work in about 12% of cancer patients, and they're going off patent about 2028, most of them. So we have patents on the combinations, and we have another 20 years of patent life. And potentially the combination of our drug with checkpoint inhibitors may replace checkpoint inhibitors alone, and we may be able to get the bulk of that revenue. So this is where we're at in the clinic. We've safely cleared all of these dose levels, and at this dose level, we dosed 3 patients. We had 1 patient with a severe adverse event. So this dose level is open. It's considered neither proven tolerated nor proven non-tolerated. So we can add more patients here to figure that out. But what we found is that we appear to have efficacy at every dose level from 2 milligram per kilogram upward. But what happens is when we introduce this wound, this necrosis, a necrotic injury, it often heals by scarring, and we end up with a scar that's the same size as the original tumor. And as a result, the CT scans that we've been using haven't been able to distinguish any of these dose levels because there's always a lesion It looks different because it's the result of a necrotic injury, but it's generally the same size as the original tumor. And it doesn't grow. It stays the same size on all scans. And it doesn't grow, doesn't shrink. So it looks like a dead scar rather than a living tumor. But what we've done is introduce FDG PET imaging so that we can count metabolic activity of cells within the tumor. And we're redoing these top three dose levels starting at this one. And so we'll get a read on efficacy through that. That's happening over the next few months. And so you basically, because none of the tumors grow and they normally grow 10 to 30% between scans, we're very confident that we have efficacy also because the tumor lesion is changing in a way that looks like it was injured. And there's no injury anywhere else. So it looks like the drug is working. And we'll be proving that over the next few months. So, this is the moment to invest because right now our valuation, the post-money valuation on our last round was 50 million. And that's in line with other companies, clinical stage companies whose drugs don't work. But with a working drug, the average oncology company is valued at $400 million or more. Antibody drug conjugate companies have typically gotten into the single digit billions, and then with approval into the double digit billions. So going from here to here is about 1,000-fold upside. We're currently doing a top-off financing to maintain runway as we gather clinical data. But once we have proof that our drug works, we'll be able to raise much higher valuations. And at that point, we'll raise the sums that are needed to get to profitability. And we'll also, as part of those financings, we plan to do an IPO in 2027. So this is our team. We've got a top quality team. Uh, uh, World leaders in all of their fields. Our manufacturing team, for example, 7 approved ADCs, $70 billion of corporate acquisitions, and our scientific founders, top leaders in the field of angiogenesis. So in conclusion, I guess I'd like to say
Go ahead, Paul. Finish up. Yeah.
yeah. Well, first of all, we're accepting money right now. We have an open convertible note, 20% discount, 10% interest rate, $100 million cap. That will get us this evidence of efficacy with the PET imaging and help us figure out the recommended phase 2 dose so that we can proceed in the clinic toward approval. And in conclusion, this on the right is a picture of my mother. She was diagnosed with cancer at age 22 and she was pregnant with me. She died at age 33 when I was 10. She would have benefited from our drug. And there's a lot of other people like her who need our drug today. And I keep her picture next to my monitor to remind me to work hard. And I look at it every few hours, every day. And but I do need investors to help us move this along. And I hope you'll join us. Thank you.
Great. Great presentation, Paul. Jeremy, what's your first question?
Yeah, very interesting, and thank you for sharing. I guess I was, so my question would be, is this targeting like a VEGF kind of pathway, or is this a microtubule, targeting agent? And then more so, if you have any data on the nuclear translocation, that sort of thing, that would be my kind of main questions.
Yeah. So all of those things. Yeah. So VEGF, it's an extracellular growth factor, so it stimulates the endothelial cells. So I don't have the biology slides in this deck, but basically VEGF binds its receptors. It activates a lot of intracellular proteins, and then TM4SF1 transports those growth factor activated proteins to the nucleus. So it's bringing these growth factor activated transcription factors into the nucleus in order to turn on, in tumor cells, turn on the mesenchymal transition, the epithelial to mesenchymal transition, and in endothelial cells, turn on the equivalent biology, which is the quiescent to angiogenic transition. And so our antibodies just hitchhike along that pathway. That's how they get to the nucleus. So they're just pretending to be a transcription factor that has to travel along that route. And and then they're degraded by the nuclear proteasome that releases the payload, and we can kill those cells. And that transport route is only active in the tumor environment. So it's purely formed to transport these growth factor activated transcription factors to the nucleus. If you don't have growth factor exposure, then it's not running. And that's how we can get terrific safety. So I have other slides with tumor homing. We can, as much as 60 to 70% at the optimal dose level of injected drug goes to tumors. And that's, typically it's 1 to 2%.
Any follow-up questions, Jeremy?
No, that all makes sense. So yeah, I'll be happy to chat another time in more detail.
Okay.
Yeah, let's do that.
Great. Next up, Paul Stein, what questions did you have?
Right. On your last slide, you were talking about activate major cancer centers. And so what I'm wondering about is where are you doing your phase 1 right now? And have you gotten in discussions with prominent oncologists at those major cancer centers to have their buy-in for initiating phase 2 studies and phase 3 studies?
Yeah. Yeah. So actually, a lot of this is already achieved. So these top four have already activated, or these top three have activated MD Anderson. Their site initiation will be in like 3 weeks, but they're contracted. It's just IRB approval has to be done. And Dana-Farber, we got to the verge, but we've just made a decision. They were standing firm on very expensive rates, and we just decided, we don't need them right now, and we'll delay until later. And as far as the KOLs, yes, they're all deeply engaged. I would say the most important is MD Anderson. So our lead indication is expected to be angiosarcoma, which is a cancer of the endothelial cells. It's a rare small market cancer, but there's no approved drug for it. So a very rapid path to approval. You don't need a control arm in the registrational trial. And very high unmet need, 13-month overall survival, 5 to 9% response rate, 3-month progression-free survival. So the bars to approval extremely low. And because it's of endothelial origin, 100% of the tumor cells express TM4SF1 highly. So we should do very well. MD Anderson is the top center. Vinod Ravi is the top KOL there. They treat 30% of all the advanced angiosarcoma cases in the US. And Washington University, University of Southern California, and Dana-Farber are other leading angiosarcoma centers. We have other top indications. Pancreatic cancer is a large market indication that we'll do very well in. So we'll have rapid indication expansion after the angiosarcoma. But given all the accelerated pathways and the ease of recruitment, the ease of meeting the bar for approval, angiosarcoma can just get to approval ahead of every other indication.
Okay, thank you.
Great. Malika, what questions did you have?
Yeah, I'm very impressed by how broad the indication is, or the multiple indications are for this. I'm wondering if there's any risk in terms of time and expansion between indications of the different cancer variants, and how you plan to mitigate that.
Yeah. So what we've seen so far is that we have the same efficacy in every tumor. So there's no difference, 100% efficacy regardless of tumor location, cancer of origin. So really it doesn't matter. The more malignant the cancer, then the higher the TM4SF1 and the more sensitive it is to our drug. But we really, we do see differences between patients on the safety side. And there's definitely big differences in time to approval, based on the level of unmet need, the type of trials you need to run, whether there are accelerated pathways. So Basically we're focusing on the highest unmet need cancers first, where we can have the biggest impact and save the most lives the quickest and get to approval quickest. Uh, but as we gather more clinical data, we'll, continue to evolve the clinical strategy. But, I think we've already learned enough to have a pretty clear picture of how we'll get to approval.
Any other questions, Malika?
No, that makes a lot of sense. Thank you so much.
Okay, great. Well, we're at the end of our time. Thank you guys for great questions. And with that, let's move to our next presenter. We have Paul Volovich of BMI. Paul, if you could launch your slides and kick off when ready.
Thanks, all. Can everybody see my presentation?
Yes, we can.
All right, thank you. Appreciate being back here, Hall. Always a pleasure. I'm Paul Volovich. I'm the CFO of BMI Organ Bank. I got involved with the BMI Organ Bank story in early 2024 when I made a personal investment into this space, into this company, and been watching this story evolve. In mid 2025, last year, the company had its what I would call its breakout year in terms of preclinical data. And so I jumped in with both feet to become the CFO. They've been asking me for over a year and a half, and the medical device company that I was with was starting to go through a strategic ownership change. So the timing was right. And so I hope I can excite you about this story as much as I've been excited since early 24. And so what BMI is tackling is we believe that our device and our per-fate solution can eliminate the kidney waiting list. It's a pretty aggressive statement, but we believe that a breakthrough technology can take 100,000 people off the kidney waiting list. And so here are some statistics that just show if you do receive a kidney transplant, your chances of survival are very strong. And if you remain on dialysis, your survival rates after 10 years are very low. And why do we believe that we can eliminate this kidney waiting list? Because what most people don't fully appreciate is there's plenty of kidneys. Lack of kidney donations is not the issue. In fact, 90% of all donated kidneys go unused. And the reason why they go unused is twofold. The surgeon doesn't have the appropriate data to determine if it's a good kidney, and preservation times are incredibly short. And so we think we've solved those two things. So let's dig into essentially what is the standard of care today. The standard of care today are two devices, one an ice cooler. You probably see this on Grey's Anatomy or the new television show, The Pit. It's also the same thing. My 21-year-old son carries his beer to college with. It's just an ice cooler. The second thing is the LifePort device. These technologies effectively take a procured kidney and put it in a state of hibernation. It cools down the kidney to essentially slow the dying process of the kidney. That kidney is providing very, very little data to the transplant surgeon that has to make a decision on whether that kidney is a viable candidate for transplantation. And so what surgeons have told us, and this was designed by surgeons for surgeons, is that if you can provide us more real-time assessment metrics and provide longer preservation times, we will be able to use more of those discarded kidneys. And so what our technology is doing is we are keeping the kidney at room temperature. We do not put the kidney in a state of hibernation. We keep the kidney at room temperature. We provide it with a proprietary solution developed at Duke University called Deval. It's providing that kidney with the nutrients that it needs. It's an acellular blood substitute. We then provide that kidney with oxygen. And remember this name, Terumo, because they're the provider of our oxygenator. and they're an incredibly large acquisitor in this organ preservation space. And then what BMI is providing is a pulsatile flow that's essentially simulating the heartbeat of that kidney. So we're giving it three things. We're keeping the kidney at room temperature, keeping it alive, providing it with nutrients, providing it with oxygen, and providing it with that kidney. What that allows us to do, and here you see on the left, you see our device. It's about the size of a desktop printer. Keeping the kidney alive allows the kidney to begin to produce real-time vitals. It can produce urine. Once that kidney is producing urine, you can run a creatinine test. This is the same creatinine test that your surgeon will give us during our annual physicals to determine kidney health. And the surgeon can make a better assessment of whether that kidney is viable or not. So this is the data that gave us our breakthrough device designation status over the summer of last year. So what we did is we did an auto transplant model where we're looking for an endpoint of delayed graft function. What is delayed graft function? Delayed graft function is an indicator that after the transplant of the kidney is done, what is the probability that the patient will go back on dialysis for a period of time? So in our preclinical animal models using pigs, what we saw was that standard of care, the LifePort machine, saw a 40% chance that the kidney would have to go, or the patient would have to go back on dialysis. With our device, 0. We took that data to the FDA and they gave us breakthrough device designation. The second thing that we've proved out over the 2025 is that we can keep kidneys preserved or preservated for up to 72 hours, functioning, producing urine on human kidneys. Now, we haven't obviously gone forward and transplanted those because we still need FDA approval. Here is what a kidney looks like, what we would call a marginal kidney, or a kidney that would be most likely discarded by a surgeon. On the left, we put the kidney on our device, and within 5 minutes, it clears out. And then when we simulate a transplant, it pinks right up. And what most surgeons say when they view our data is, I would have discarded the kidney on the left, and I would have implanted the kidney on the right. What is our business model? It's razor blade. So if you understand the transplant market, there are 55 organ procurement centers around the country. Those are our 55 customers. Half of them will participate in our upcoming clinical trial. We give them the device, and then what they essentially do is they buy the disposables. They will buy the Deval solution, as well as a disposable kidney cassette that needs to be replaced with every individual transplant. What's fantastic about this industry, this segment of the industry, 100% is covered by Medicare. So 80 to 85% of all transplant surgeries are covered by Medicare. Medicare pays the transplant center, and then that transplant center reimburses the OPO, and under that reimbursement would be the procurement device as BMI Organ Bank. So our vision is to eliminate the kidney waiting list. We've got phenomenal preclinical data that gave us FDA breakthrough device. Everything that I showed you in that circle wheel slide is patented, or it's a trade secret. We've got a 20-year exclusivity upon first commercialization with Duke. It's about over a $3 billion market, 100% reimbursement. And there's a lot of acquisition in the space. Organox, which focuses on livers, was acquired by Terumo for $1.5 billion in September of last year. We do have a pipeline. Liver can be ultimately utilized in this device. We are doing whole eye transplant through an ARPA-H grant with Stanford University, and the DoD is funding limb preservation as well. Where do we stand? Founders have put in $3.7 million of capital. The NIH and other grant fundings have given us close to $9 million of capital. We're raising a convertible note. We've raised $3.8 million. We've got a little over $2 million left to go on this round. $16 million has gone into the company. The convertible note, it's a $12 million valuation cap or a 20% discount. It's got a 7.5% interest rate, automatically converts into Series A shares. You'd be joining National Kidney Foundation has made an investment, Band of Angels, Golden Seeds, Mid-Atlantic Bio Angels, Park City Angels. The majority of these folks have deal memos. If you want to continue your due diligence, happy to provide the deal memos. The capital for the seed round gets us to our IDE and our clinical trial that will happen later this year. Speaking of that, we will need to raise $35 million for our clinical trial, which is Class 3 PMA. The $35 million, I have identified two lead investors that want to fund our clinical trial. They are waiting to see what the interaction with the formal IDE application will be from the FDA, and then we'll enter into term sheet discussions. So with that, I will pause and take questions. Thank you.
Thanks, Paul. Great presentation. Let's start with Paul Stein. Paul, what questions did you have?
Yes, I'm wondering about the clinical trial.
Yep.
You have breakthrough designation, so I'm wondering what the requirements are from the FDA. Is it one center, several centers? How many patients do you have to do?
Yep. It's going to be 420 patients, half on the LifePort device, half on our device. It will be probably 15 to 20 centers. Now, remember, these are the OPOs and as well as the transplant centers working in combination. We have 7 OPOs lined up and are anxious to work with us to participate in this trial. You have to remember, OPOs lose money for every kidney that is not placed. And so if we can help the OPO increase their utilization of placements, they then subsequently obviously get reimbursed for that. So we presented this to a lot of OPOs. They're very excited to see this technology come. The endpoint will be that delayed graft function that we talked about before. Whether the patient after transplantation goes back onto dialysis, there will be a follow-on period of 6 to 12 months.
And have you worked out with the FDA any endpoints that will be acceptable for them in terms of, viability or having to go back on dialysis or anything like that with your 200 patients versus the other 200?
Yes. So the FDA has encouraged us to do a non-inferiority study against LifePort, with the endpoint being DGF, which is that indication that the patient will go back on dialysis or not.
Okay. Let me ask you about money in terms of what do you see as a potential income for your company in terms of what share of the market you're going to be getting, what your income is going to be, what your profitability is going to be, that sort of thing.
Yeah. So we are planning to sell the disposable consumables for $9,500 per surgery. If we were to get 10% of the transplant market, that's a $40 million revenue business. At scale, we can have 65% margins. That device that I showed you costs between $16,000 to $18,000 to manufacture, and the disposable set, including the Duvall solution, roughly $3,500. So we will have 65 to 70% gross margins as we scale. Remember that this is a very captive group that we are selling into. There's only 55 organ procurement centers around the country. So everything can be accomplished with a very focused sales group of 6 to 9 sales reps.
Have you started to deal with other places around the world, like MDSAP or Europe or anything like that, to start negotiations with them?
Yeah. So the the international applicability of our product is clearly there. We are 100% focused on the US right now. I would give caution to anyone with, we are a 10-person organization. We are scientists. There's two business folks like myself, and we are 100% focused on getting through the FDA. However, our aspirations are to go global, but right now let's get the product through the FDA and get established here in the US. But good question and good thoughts on international applicability.
Thank you.
Great. And Malika, what questions did you have?
Yeah. Paul, you've raised a lot of money so far. Great job with that. I'm wondering how that's been used and what KPI or what endpoints have been achieved with that, and how that capital efficiency is going to change going forward.
Yeah, so all the 16.4 million, the capital, we got 2.5 million of cash on the balance sheet today, but the 16.5 million has done our preclinical studies. We recently completed a GLP study that the FDA asked us to essentially validate what they gave us breakthrough device designation on. So the capital helped us achieve breakthrough device designation. It's gotten the device to a manufactured ready state. So all what we're doing now is we are doing the verification testing, and the remaining of the capital has funded, SG&A working capital purposes. The capital going forward, the 35 million, 100% of it will be deployed into the clinical trial. Of the 35 million, if I think about the capital going into the clinical trial, the vast majority of that 25 million is going to go to the clinical trial, and the rest of it for working capital purposes over the 3 years.
Any other questions, Malika?
No, thank you so much, Paul.
Great. We'll have Jeremy Schnell, and then we do have a question in the chat box. Jeremy, go ahead.
Thank you for sharing. Have you ever heard of Vascular Perfusion Solutions? I think they're out of San Antonio.
I have not, no.
So very similar, I would say competitor, but they seem to be focused on cardiac. So they're doing heart, but I do see some publications in kidney as well.
Okay.
It says portable, blood-free perfusate. They have preclinical data suggesting up to 24 hours of viability extension here, but the clinical trials they're gonna benchmark to 8 hours. So I guess on a head-to-head basis, if you want to speak to that. And then the other thing was ARPA-H and BARDA folks and all those types of people. Have you been talking to them yet, or?
Let me answer the first question first. So I'll look them up. So you're saying they offer a blood-free perfusate. Do they have a machine?
Yeah, so very similar to your solution. VPS Encore, portable, accessible, easy to use, hypothermic oxygenated perfusion system built to address the limitations of current preservation methods.
Yeah, so hypothermic is cold storage. That they are replicating they're going to try to incrementally improve standard of care. So they're focused
they do have
on
a perfusion angle. So I guess
Yep.
why? I guess the question is, why would you go for the hypothermic? Does that make sense, or is that incoherent? Basically, I guess is what you're getting to.
Well, hypothermic is currently standard of care that puts the kidney into a hibernated state, or they're essentially freezing the kidney. That technology gives very little kidney assessment metrics because the kidney isn't functioning. It's essentially frozen. It sounds like from what you read, they're going to try to go for 8 hours. The LifePort device standard of care right now is surgeons will stay with it anywhere between 6 to 12 hours. So it sounds like they're trying to lengthen what LifePort can accomplish a little bit. Remember, we're at room temperature. We are keeping the kidney alive and viable. And then further afield, there's a bunch of companies like Transmedics and Organox working on what we call body temperature. That's actually keeping the kidney alive, but requiring blood as well as oxygen to keep that kidney alive. That technology is what they use for heart, liver, and lungs. Very, very expensive. That's $60 to $100,000 a transplant. What we're suggesting here is we can do this for about $10,000 a transplant. In terms of your question on ARPA-H, we put a solution summary into ARPA-H for a $40 million ARPA grant. They came back to us. They wanted to see a full proposal. And so actually on Monday, we submitted a final proposal for ARPA-H for $40 million and it's called zero wait kidney waiting list. And we're pretty excited about it. We've already been working with ARPA-H for whole eye transplant with Stanford University. We're working with the DoD. We got a small grant for the DoD for limb preservation. But what we're really excited about is we went in cold and submitted a solution summary for our kidney product. And they got back to us within 5 days. And they said, we want to see a full proposal. And so we submitted that on Monday. The National Kidney Waiting List has real focus and attention in Washington, D.C. There is no reason for there to be 100,000 people on our waiting list. CMS is encouraging the OPOs to actually procure more kidneys, but the problem isn't the number of kidneys available. The problem is the OPO, they don't have good assessment tools, and the transplant surgeons don't want to take the risk on marginal kidneys or what they perceive to be marginal kidneys because the transplant surgeons get penalized if that patient goes back on dialysis. We believe that's why ARPA-H was back to us in 5 days and said, we want to see a full proposal on how you guys, we want to understand your science, we want to understand your device, we want to understand how you think you can eliminate the kidney waiting list. But thank you for the question, Jeremy. Appreciate you.
And I guess the last question or follow-up would be, I guess there's pros and cons of hypothermic versus normal, because I thought hypothermic would, in principle, you'd be able to reduce the injury risk, right, in transit or what have you. So I guess the real question is these marginal kidneys you're talking about and so on, how much of that is because of, injury during transport versus, I guess the whole thing is you're weighing the benefits of functional assessment versus the risk of injury, I guess, right?
Yeah. So I think a deeper conversation with our scientific team at Duke would probably best serve you. But from what I've come to appreciate is when that kidney is in that frozen state and the surgeon begins to reintroduce blood and oxygen, that's when the majority of that ischemia damage occurs, and that's when the kidney becomes marginalized. When you can keep that kidney in a functioning state, so you immediately procure it, it goes on our device, it's immediately receiving the Duvall solution, the oxygen, and then that proprietary pulsatile pump that gives it the kidney heartbeat, that ischemia damage is significantly minimized, which is why we're seeing 0% DGF in our preclinical studies.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay, great. We're out of time. Paul, there are 2 good questions in the chat box. In the next few minutes, if you could maybe respond on the chat box, and we can connect you guys later as well if you need to. But with that, let's move to our next presenter. We have with us next Pivotal Health. Sal, if you could launch your slides and kick off when ready.
Okay, Hall, thank you very much. I really appreciate this. Everyone, I'm Sal Braco, co-founder and CEO of Pivotal Health. We are fixing the broken healthcare system for university students. Just really quick intros on my co-founder and me. Pete Johnson is actually a Booth grad. He got his MBA from Booth. But Pete is a tech entrepreneur over 20 years. Building, growing, operating tech companies. And as for me, I've got over 20 years operating, growing exits with healthcare companies. So between the two of us, really excellent experience. As you'll see as I kind of walk through this, you'll see that we have excellent backgrounds for what we're working on. So, this is Samantha. She's a sophomore at the University of Wisconsin-Madison. She wakes up sick on a Thursday morning. Her throat is on fire. She has a fever. Just feels terrible. So she does what she should do. She calls the university campus clinic. It turns out they can't see her for about a week and a half. So she calls her mom, who is 1,000 miles away. They don't know what to do. If she goes to the ER, she's looking at a potential multi-thousand-dollar medical bill. She doesn't have a car, so it's difficult for her to go to an urgent care. This is the reality on university campuses. This is happening every day. And this is incredibly frustrating for the student as well as for their parents. I see university parent Facebook pages every day. There are complaints about healthcare at every major university. This is a universal problem. And so we have a platform. This is a tech-enabled platform that combines house calls, a little bit of telehealth, and a direct care business model to make this whole process incredibly easy for university students. Okay, and so I'll just show you a really short video of how this works. This is a membership, and so once the student or their parent purchases the membership, they can use the Pivotal Health app. This is on the app stores now. Really easy to create your account. And then when you want to schedule a visit, you just tell us where you're located. With a couple of clicks, you tell us what your problem is. We show you available times. You pick a time that works for you. Is it after class? Is it before class? And we're typically seeing people on the same day. We show you any out-of-pocket costs, but with the membership there, typically is none. And then that's it. Pivotal Health Provider shows up at your dorm, apartment, wherever that you are for that urgent care or primary care need. And so these are the things that we're treating every day. We're treating upper respiratory infections, pink eye, GI stuff, UTIs, STIs, anything that you can treat in an urgent care clinic or a primary care office, we can treat in a dorm room or apartment. And so we built this tech stack specifically for this purpose, okay? And it's a combination of off-the-shelf and proprietary components. And our purpose, the whole goal of this is to automate everything around the visit, okay? So that healthcare is much easier for the consumer and for our Pivotal Health providers. And so the results is that 95% of our visits are booked with the Pivotal Health app. And when that happens, no pivotal human does anything until the Pivotal Health provider shows up at the person's house. And it also results in very happy customers. People love this. Once they try it once, they use it again and again and again. And so we're as much a logistics company as we are a healthcare company, okay? So that tech platform really has automated this and just really has just made that whole process simple. I mean, most, hospital systems and, clinic offices, there's so much manual stuff going on. And that's even with just a patient coming into the clinic. We've automated this for these, house call visits. So there's, like I said, we're as much a logistics company as we are healthcare company. So the business model, as I mentioned, is a direct care business model. So on the university side, we charge $400 per semester, $750 for the full school year. And the student gets essentially as many visits as they need, okay? And so we also do offer single visits for non-members at $225, but that's essentially priced to kind of push people to the membership. But this generates recurring, strong margin revenue. And so, as you can see by our LTV and our customer acquisition costs, we figured out how and who to sell this to, which I'll get to. But right now we have an off-the-chart LTV to CAC ratio of 22 to 1, and that's kind of due to the viral nature of university campuses and like I said, who we're selling to. So this is not an idea. This is something that we've been doing. We did a little bit over $1 million of revenue in 2025. We've done well over 16,000 visits since we launched this. We used to take insurance, but we dropped insurance essentially in 2024 to really focus on this direct care model. So this university market, this is multi-billion-dollar TAM. If you look at all of the largest universities, and again, the problem is worse at the biggest universities. Places like the University of Wisconsin-Madison, the University of Texas, Austin, Texas A&M, the University of Georgia, all of the big flagship type universities that have at least 25,000 students, access to healthcare on those campuses is worse. So what we figured out is mom is the main decision maker. Okay. So 99% of our sales and marketing efforts are geared towards mom. It doesn't matter if the kid is 8 or 18, mom is typically the main decision maker. So by focusing in on mom, we've been able to really reduce that customer acquisition cost. And so as we expand to more universities, more metro areas, mom's going to be the same. It's the same whether this is at the University of Wisconsin or whether it's at Ohio State. It's the same group that we're advertising to. So we're raising up to $5 million to expand to 8 more metro areas. We're doing this in a tranched fashion. The initial tranche is for $750,000 at a $15 million valuation. We currently have about $500,000 of interest, of capital interest that is in due diligence for this first tranche. And so we will be expanding to metro areas that have at least 250,000 people with a university population of at least 25,000. I mean, that's practically every major metro area: Boston, Philadelphia, DC, Atlanta, Austin, like I said, Columbus, Ohio, even over to Los Angeles. I mean, practically every major metro area, and like even those mid-tier metro areas have large universities. And so as we expand, we'll really begin to grow revenue even more. So, we're projecting 2026 revenue to approach 2 million. And then as we kind of get these metro areas more activated and begin to expand even more, we could then push this revenue up, closer to 10 million. And so again, campus healthcare is structurally broken. And with this platform that we have, this tech-enabled platform, we're able to deliver these high quality, incredibly easy for the consumer clinician house calls. We did over $1 million of revenue in 2025. The platform's built. We're raising capital to essentially grow this to more university metro areas. With that, I can take questions.
Great presentation, Sal. Jeremy, what's your first question?
Yeah, so thank you very much. Well, so obviously, being a corporate venture at OSF here, we have to figure out what is the strategic, before we can invest in anything, we have to figure out the strategic benefit to our healthcare system. So I guess, how might you hypothesize in the future potentially working with a healthcare system?
Well, I mean, we often refer patients to healthcare systems. Currently we're in 3 Wisconsin metro areas, and our providers provide referrals to the larger hospital systems as the patients need. I mean, we're an urgent care and primary care company, and so we would be an excellent referral source.
I was thinking more along the lines of we have all kinds of hospital at home and home health type programs. I was thinking more along the lines of this could be some kind of strategic partnership whereby we have excess capacity or more capacity through you guys, something like that. That was kind of the angle I was thinking through.
Yeah, potentially. We're really laser focused on this university market. We do also have close to 50 corporate clients with about 1,800 employees, but we're really focused on the university, market. We really see a big opportunity there.
But on that note, I know a number of our hospitals are also in close proximity to various universities and colleges and so on. So it might be worth us having a follow up at some point.
Yeah, please. Yeah, please. Thank you.
Great questions, Jeremy. Paul, what are your questions there?
Yeah, what I'm wondering about is who are these providers? Who are the people in their cars running all over the place? Do they have drugs available, prescriptions available that they could provide to the students instantly rather than having to run to the pharmacy? Are there injections that they have, like antibiotics or anything like that, that they're carrying around to the particular person who's calling in?
Yeah, so the providers are all W-2s. It's a mix of full-time and part-time. So each metro area, we found that it works best to have one or two full-time providers, and then we augment that with part-time. But when we open up a new metro area, we open up with three FTEs. And those three FTEs are enough for us to cover 2,000 members, okay? And we're profitable with those three FTEs at about 650 members. So between 650 and 2,000, that's tremendous profit. As far as medications go, we have some start like first dose for certain generic medications. But I used to run a pharmacy company. I don't want to go near pharmacy. That's a mess that I don't want to. That I really it's not worth it. So other than those like initial doses of certain generic medications, we're not going to get into the pharmacy business.
Okay. And you did speak about how much money you're making thus far. Are you profitable yet?
We are not profitable yet. And with kind of the growth that we've done and the growth that's planned, we won't be profitable with that growth. If we needed to, we can easily kind of dial things back and cash flow. But we really want to grow this. There's a big opportunity that that we're going after. So we are close to profitability now, but with the expansion, for 2026, we won't be.
So how many cities, universities do you see it's going to take to finally reach profitability?
I mean, it's not a question of how many, it's just getting each of those metro areas, activated. Like I said, it only takes about 650 members to get a metro area profitable. So it'll come down to how quickly we can, penetrate each of those markets to kind of get to that, level. But the capital is really used to expand. Profitability isn't our goal at this time. It's let's grow the top line by expanding this.
Okay, thank you.
Great. And Malika, what questions do you have?
Yeah, I'm very interested in this. I think there are a few barriers to adoption that I'm seeing, mostly behavioral, especially the travel time, the efficiency, the lack of, tools that will be at the patient's home. I guess you're gonna have to travel with all of that. I guess I'm also wondering about the regulatory concerns of practicing in a patient's home, outside of the supervision of the hospital. Have you had any experience with all of the concerns I listed, and what are the steps you're taking to mitigate them?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, anything that you can treat in an urgent care clinic or a primary care office, we've done in people's dorm rooms, apartments, homes, offices. The only thing that we can't do really is, radiology or surgical procedures, which urgent care clinics and primary care offices, that's not what that's for, right? So, we have point of care tests for strep, flu, COVID, RSV, mono, UTIs, STIs, so we can test right there on the spot. We can tell you if you have, flu. So, like I said, all of these things we are, treating on a daily basis. There's really no limitation as far as like equipment or supplies. As far as regulatory goes, there really is no regulatory issue here. As long as our providers are licensed in the state that they're working in, which that's who we hire, they're free to do, they can legally do these house call visits. I mean, house call visits they've been a thing for 150 years, right? And so, there's plenty of clinical precedence for this. We don't need like any extra licensing, or there's no regulatory hoops or anything of, that sort.
Yeah, thank you. I'm guessing it's not the physicians themselves who are the ones traveling, right? Is it the nurses?
So
other
we're typically
partners?
sending an NP or a PA.
Okay.
And they can write prescriptions. If you go to most urgent care clinics today, you're typically seeing an NP or a PA. There is a physician that oversees the whole clinical team.
Okay.
So if there's ever like a clinical question, there's a physician that one of the NPs or PAs can actually reach out to.
Okay, got it. Because I'm just wondering, it's probably the physicians probably don't have the time to travel multiple times during the workday.
It's not cost effective to send a
Right.
physician. Physicians
Yeah.
are very highly compensated. It's much
Okay.
more cost effective to send an NP or a PA.
Right. No, I think that's a great decision as well. But yeah, thank you.
All right, great questions. Great presentation, Sal. Sal, there are two questions in the chat box. If you could answer them during the follow session here, that'd be great. And with that, let's move to our next presenter. We have Sonovascular. Luke, if you could launch your slides and kick off when ready.
Okay. I will share my screen here. So, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Luke Harada. I am Chief Operating Officer for Sonovascular. And Sonovascular has technology that basically will redefine how clinicians approach clot management in the body with a catheter-based treatment for venous and arterial clots called thromboses, with a combination novel new therapy that's mechanical thrombectomy system, which we call the sonothrombectomy system. Just to give you some idea about the disease state that we're treating, venous thromboembolisms include both deep vein thrombosis, which are clots in the vasculature in the legs, upper legs, and also pulmonary embolisms. These are clots that basically typically break off from the upper legs and travel into the lungs, and can be a very life-threatening disease. So it's a significant PE specifically is life-threatening, and deaths that occur from pulmonary embolism and venous thromboembolism is in the magnitude of about 100,000 cases a year. Lots of patients that are being treated both with catheter-based technologies and just with anticoagulation therapy intravenously, but there's plenty of room for improvement. The current state of the marketplace is, in terms of the catheter-based therapies, is split between mechanical and pharmacological solutions. These solutions are effective in acutely removing these clots within the body, but both the mechanical and the pharmacological solutions have various drawbacks. Mechanical solutions suffer the drawbacks of blood loss. There's trauma to the vessel walls during the extraction of these clots. And there's also damage to the venous valves, which exist that modulate the the flow of blood back to the heart within the body. On the pharmacological basis, the thrombolysis catheters that are used deliver thrombolytic drugs called TPA to dissolve clots. The drawbacks there is that this therapy is done in the ICU. It's a long procedure time, and there's a expensive cost of care because the patient basically is taking up a bed in the ICU. So today, what we've seen is originally the catheter-based therapy started off with catheter-directed thrombolysis, but over the number of years, the standard of care has shifted dramatically from left to right, more towards the mechanical realm. And as you can see in the upper right, there are lots of different types of aspiration thrombectomy devices, which are basically suction straws that are extracting the clots from the venous system, both in the legs as well as in the lungs. We believe that today's solutions, while acutely effective, physicians are realizing that there's a very significant opportunity for improved outcomes as a result of new features for the technologies. So oops, excuse me, I'll go back one here. So the new solutions, a differentiated solution with improved clinical outcomes will require differentiation accompanied by clinical evidence. There obviously has to be significant reimbursement to make it profitable for hospitals to apply to adopt these technologies, this will require physician champions, and to the extent that the reimbursement is maximized, it will require a cath lab-based procedure rather than ICU time. At Endovascular, we have one scientific advisor, a physician, interventional radiologist by the name of Rob Lookstein, who's very very reputable interventional radiologist who's currently president of the SAR. And he's basically been a big proponent of this momentum towards a combination therapy, which basically would be the next generation of thrombectomy technologies that basically would combine the benefits of both aspiration as well as the application of thrombolytic therapy in order to dissolve these clots. And while the Endovascular technology is in development, and I'll describe it now, the trade-off is the combination therapy, which is cath lab based and results in a safer procedure and a simpler procedure that would enable widespread adoption by clinicians that do these procedures, but still increase the clot reduction for the procedure, we believe would be the winning solution. And that's exactly what our thrombectomy technology does. It basically is a novel combination therapy to remove these clots, both for VTE as well as in pulmonary embolisms. And the way that we do this is with mechanical pharmaco combination therapy. We're using a focused ultrasound accompanied by microbubbles as well as thrombolytic drug, delivering it through a very narrow catheter. It's a 12 French or 4 millimeter steerable intravascular catheter, and we're able to remove and dissolve these clots in a very rapid, precise, and non-traumatic fashion. This is a close-up of the tip of the catheter that you see here. It's delivered over a guide wire. As I indicated, this device is designed to be conducted in the cath lab in a very efficient procedure. It maximizes clot reduction. There is no blood loss because we are not aspirating or sucking out any blood from the body, whereas the current technologies the market leaders are basically using aspiration to large extent for both DVT as well as for pulmonary embolism. And our device, because it's delivering these microbubbles and thrombolytic agent in a manner with such a small, gentle catheter and dissolving from the bottom of the clot and working the way up through the clot. There is no vascular trauma or any damage to the valves. We have a very important partnership with a company called Lantheus Medical. It's a publicly traded company. We have an exclusive supply relationship for the microbubbles that are used with our system. Lantheus has an 80% U.S. market share, so they're a dominant player in this space, and we are fortunate to have a exclusive commercial supply agreement that is in place with this company. There's some other indications for this technology because clots are prevalent throughout the body. We're focused on the venous thromboembolisms. It's the blue areas here, DVT and pulmonary embolism on the right. But there are in the future an opportunity for Sonovascular to address acute ischemic stroke, AV grafts, and occlusion and thrombus in the arterial system as well, which obviously will expand the marketplace. We have clinical data already. We've completed 10 cases in South America, in Chile, as well as in Argentina. These are our investigators, the principal investigators, Dr. Kramer, who's a very esteemed and well-recognized physician who studied at the Cleveland Clinic. Here's a summary of our data for the first 10 patients that we've done for the DVT indication. Basically, we have 7 of the 10 patients who have basically been followed up for 6 months. And as you can tell from this chart, there's a lot of words on here, but we have had 100% success in removing the clot per core lab adjudicated results. We've had significant improvement over 30 days and at 6 months for both post-thrombotic syndrome as well as kind of confirmation of vessel patency confirmed via CT or ultrasound imaging. So we're very, very excited about the results. This is a big market, as evidenced by the potential for Sonovascular to basically achieve year 5 revenues from launch, which we anticipate in late 2028 for DVT and in early 2029 for pulmonary embolism. And we believe that there's an opportunity for our company to achieve year 5 revenues in excess of $400 million with a disposable catheter device that would command up to 70% gross profit margins. The value propositions for the hospital is quite simple. Clinically, there's a more effective clot removal, no blood loss, no vessel trauma or valve damage. But from an economic perspective, for the hospitals, it's a very well-reimbursed procedure done in the cath lab, so you don't consume ICU resources for that. Lower treatment costs in a very simple procedure, and good hospital economics as a result of the reimbursement situation. We've had 2 meetings, pre-submission meetings with FDA to confirm the regulatory pathway. The first indication that we'll pursue is deep vein thrombosis. We estimate the de novo approval as a Class 2 device with FDA in Q4 of 2028. Pulmonary embolism would trail behind that. It would launch in the United States in Q4 of 2029 as a 510(k), not as de novo. Very quickly on our timeline, you can see this. I'll skip through the slide. Quickly, in terms of senior management, the CEO, Dan Este, has over 30 years of medical device experience. We worked together at Johnson & Johnson Cordis. Dan went on to have a very significant career at Abbott Vascular, worked there and built a billion-dollar business in Japan and China for Abbott Vascular, and has excellent commercial as well as business development experience. I've spent my entire career in business development, doing corporate development for Johnson & Johnson, at Cordis, Biosense Webster, and Ortho Clinical Diagnostics, as well as at Becton Dickinson, who acquired C.R. Bard. We have engineer Jacob Ruprecht, who worked at Boston Scientific for some period of time, has got good experience. And we have Craig Nichols in charge of our clinical affairs, and he has 5 years of experience working as an FDA reviewer. Very experienced board of directors would include the likes of Bill Starling with 40 years of medtech experience. And we've got Harbright Ventures. We've just added a board member, partner Robert Ross, who is just joining us as Harbright is leading the Series A round, and I'll describe that quickly. So right now we're in the middle of a Series A raise. Our target raise for the Series A preferred stock offering is $6 million, pre-money value of $18.5 million. We've had an initial closing of $1.4 million, commitments of over $1 million. And with this 6 to 8 million Series A, we hope to have sufficient cash raised to secure IDE approval for the first DVT pivotal study in the United States, and to develop some early patient data outside the United States for pulmonary embolism. On the right-hand side, you see that we've raised previously over $10 million with investment from Harbright Ventures and a number of other institutions that would include North Carolina State, UNC, and other University of Michigan and other institutions. We believe that this market is a very attractive market for strategic investors, the large corporate medtech companies. You'll notice on the left here, there was a recent acquisition that was announced by Boston Scientific. It was a $14.5 billion acquisition of a company called Penumbra. They are the market leader in this thrombectomy space. 1 year ago, in January of 25, Stryker Corporation acquired the number 2 player called Inari Medical for $4.9 billion. And there's still, because this market is so large and growing at such a significant pace, the strategic acquirers that you see listed here at the bottom, including some of the companies that Dan Este and I have previously worked at, are very, very interested in getting into this space because it is such a large market and still experiencing double-digit growth rates. So we are very excited about having investors participate with us to allow us to continue the pathway. So with that, Hall, I think I'll pass the
Yes.
some Q&A.
Thank you for a great presentation, Luke. We have time for one question each. Paul, what is your question?
One question, that's tough. I really like the technology. I like how it works out. Sheesh. What is the procedure time for a particular procedure that, out of your 10 patients?
Our average procedure time, Paul, for our patients ranges from it's a little bit less than an hour to maybe an hour and a half, 2 hours, depend. And again, the procedure time is dictates on the length of the clots, right? So some of the, and I think I have a slide here that shows for some of the patients that we've treated. Well, I'm not sure if I have that right here at my fingertips, but we've treated clot lengths of from 10 centimeters and as long as 55 centimeters, 54, 55 centimeters. So basically, as our technology, the catheter is introduced for DVTs from the bottom up. So you work your way through the clot and delivering the ultrasonic energy and the solution of microbubbles and TPA. And we slowly work our way through the clot, dissolving the clot, and then deflecting the catheter tip to basically get remove as much clot as possible. But again, the procedure time is dictated very much by the length of the clot.
Great.
So,
Thanks for that. Let's go to the next one. Jeremy, what's your question?
Thank you. Yes. Very interesting. This is something we would definitely look at. And I guess my question would be around cavitation, tunability, and real-time monitoring and adjusting and that sort of thing.
Jeremy, you're talking about kind of moderation of the amount of TPA and microbubbles that are
I'm
injected.
talking about the microbubble. Yeah, if you could, the cavitation properties of the microbubble, basically being able to tune that in real time.
Yes. So right now, our system basically delivers a constant flow of microbubbles, TPA, and saline, which is a mixture at a specific rate. The transducer is tuned to basically resonate the microbubbles at a specific specific frequency. And again, it's low frequency, so we're not generating very much heat in this process. And again, we're working our way through, and there's no ability for the physician to adjust the tuning of the ultrasonic energy. But basically, through all of our bench testing, we've basically determined the optimal rate of the frequency of the transducer, so that you basically get a bell curve of microbubbles that go through the inertial cavitation versus the stable cavitation. So you don't want to basically burst all the microbubbles as they go through the energy, because they will continue to flow through the clot as we progress and advance through the clot.
So let's go to our last question. Malika, what's your question?
Yeah, I would love to hear a little bit more about the other players in the space. I mean, it's bizarre to think that this hasn't been addressed efficiently yet. And I'm wondering if there are other competitive players, how you plan to penetrate that market, and what's the GTM strategy there?
Look, that's a great question. And as you see here, for both of these two markets, DVT and PE, the dominant players right now are two companies. Boston Scientific, which I mentioned, acquired Penumbra, and the other is this company called Stryker, which last year acquired Inari Medical. Those two are the dominant players in the space right now. However, those two companies have technologies that have they basically have some of the deficiencies and room for improvement of the technology. So hats off to Inari and Penumbra for having advanced the field, and it's become a multi-billion-dollar market. But there's a lot of room for continued improvement for the solutions, and that's why we believe that our technology is going to be a next generation, next era solution for continued advancement and expansion of catheter-based therapies.
And we're out of time. Great presentation. We will make introductions afterwards so we can pick up the dialogue later. It will continue after this for sure. But with that, let's move to our final presenter, Francoise of Pharma in Silica. If you could launch your slides to kick off when ready.
Hello.
We see your desktop.
This
We don't
is
see
the
the slides
frightening
though.
this is the frightening moment where you hope that it will work.
I'm sure it will.
You have faith. That's great.
And we see it now.
And now,
We see the slides plus the notes. Now we see just the slides. Now we
we're
see the
good.
note. Now we see the slide and slide sorter. Can we do full screen? Where is that?
It's
The Mac. Where is it?
Francois, please try the bottom right corner.
I was hoping you would say something.
Not that one, the one that has a little I'm sorry, the presentation screen.
To the
Yeah,
right, to
move
the right.
over
There.
right
That's it.
there. Yeah,
That's it.
click that one. Thanks, Malika.
Finally, this is too complicated. I'm
Try
quitting.
clicking it again.
We're not doing it. Just joking. Let's try that again in a simpler way.
Oh, reboot. Okay. That's
And
good.
now,
You're good. You're good to go.
okay. Sorry for that. Thank you. Good afternoon, good evening, if I look through my window to everyone. I'm François Arcan from Pharma in Silica. I'm sitting at home in Quebec City. And in our laboratory, we're trying to poison the tumor and spare the patient that have to go through chemotherapy. And I'll propose to you our precision chemotherapy today. The basis of chemo is a family of drugs called cytotoxic drugs, who are basically poisons. They are everywhere. They're sold for 25 billion per year, going toward the 33 in the next 4 years. They're very tough on the patient. They cost a lot, if only for the treatment of adverse effects that can go up to pneumonias in hospitals and a large series of prophylactic drugs to prevent infection, neutropenia, and all kind of stuff. Basically, they're bad medicines, and they're very bad because a very small fraction of the drug injected, less than 1%, actually reaches the tumor with the standard of care. And the rest of the drug goes around and weakens the immune system, and so badly that many patients cannot complete their regimen of treatments. Paclitaxel is one of the two main drugs of this family. It sells for 7 billion under the form of Taxol and Abraxane. Old drugs, old formulations, both very toxic. We are aware of a few lipid nanoparticles that don't have much traction, don't bring much advantage, some of them being pulled from the market, like Apalea. And there are several nanoparticles in development carrying paclitaxel with technologies that we believe are inferior to ours. A good chemo, which is our mission, our goal, will deliver enough drug to the tumor so it's efficient and reduces the tumor. It will reduce that interference with healthy tissue, and it will safely excrete the off-target drug from the system. Our solution is called OpPacli, Optimized Paclitaxel. Imagine this as a very, very small truck that does basically three things. It is injected without solvents like Taxol. It circulates for a long time in the blood without releasing the drug in a very stealthy manner. And when it encounters the tumor with its acidity, it releases the drug only there. That's why we call that precision chemotherapy in the sense that it is precise release or site-specific release, and contrarily to Taxol and Abraxane. So this is what the drug looks like. We can answer question later on this if you have any. The mice told us that they liked it a lot. Taxol, after 2 hours, has disappeared from the bloodstream, while after 7 days, our drug is still present. If you look at a 3 injection regimen over 21 days, it means that Taxol or Abraxane will have about 6 hours of exposure to reach the tumor and kill it, while our drug will be always available during those 21 days. So this is good because it increases the probability of on-target delivery. However, you might think if there is long in the blood and in the healthy tissue, could it cause more damage and be worse than the standard of care? Well, it's not the case. Upacli preserve the immune system. In purple, you see the presence of the white blood cells, including the lymphocytes, who are the NK and T cells responsible of killing bacteria and cancer cells. While in gray, you see the depleted levels of the same cells with Taxol. Another sign of innocuity is that the mice keep good general behavior during the 21 days, and their hepatic and kidney conditions are good. Their gain weight is solid. They continue to gain weight almost at the same rhythm than an untreated mouse, contrarily to Taxol, who is 3 times lower. We also have an efficacy predictor in the fact that we found 5 times more drug on day 21 in the tumor than Taxol. We're about to start efficacy studies that with the right type of cancers in mice, which will, we hope, confirm that efficacy promise. We don't intend to sell these drugs to pharmacies or hospital in 20 years. We intend to sign early stage licenses with multiple pharma companies for various combinations of drugs and indications. Over the last 2 years, a phase 1 deal was worth $500 million in theoretical all milestone value, with upfronts of 28 to 58 million of your American dollars, which is the revenue flow we count on. The first thing we're going to sell to pharma are Upacli, our first candidate, and other cytotoxic drugs that we will have tamed. We'll offer that first to the former kings of chemo, those pharma companies who were making billions 15 years ago, and those who today are making hundreds of millions by selling the same drugs as generics. To the cutting edge oncopharma, we're going to offer various prototypes were developed. 2 examples here, drug combinations in the same administration, or super heavy nanocarrier, which is an alternative to antibody drug conjugates that many of you might know, who that carries only 7 units of drug, while our particle carries 20,000 of the same chemoparticles. To the same pharmas, we'll offer the platform so they can use their own in-house novel products or resurrect programs that died at early stage. Money. We envision that with the generous cashback and grants we get in Canada, we're going to spend about $14 million over the next 2 years and then start signing licenses and get milestones. It's a short-term project. It's a 36 to 40 months to exit, like I'll show you a little bit later. We raised so far 3.5 million, mainly from individual investors in Quebec and Montreal. We've built our own capacity of production, so we're autonomous for preclinical and clinical lots. We got an accelerated pathway from the FDA, which saves us a year and a couple of millions in preclinical cost. We're at 15 months to IND for a first human study against one of the most lethal lung cancers. The company was also built around a core team of experts that I hired and that we've trained. We have experts that compensate the things that are not core and we don't want to pay for full time. And we're about to hire a medical director and a couple of fractional partners in regulatory pharmacoeconomics and reimbursement, most probably in the US, to complete the team. We also filed 3 families of process patents in 8 territories. Of those 24 applications, 15 are granted. 2 more patent families are coming, which will extend even further the duration of protection. And we're very paranoid with industrial secrets, and that's why we want to keep in-house the production as long as possible, if not forever. The current preclinical round is based on 2024 price, and there's a mistake on this slide. I do apologize. The valuation is 7.15 million, not 9. And it's the price that investors paid when we began that round. I still can accept 1.5 million at that price. The shareholders are all accredited investors and Investissement Québec, which is economic development government bank, and there's no controlling shareholders. So the plan is to raise 10 million, most probably in 2 tranches, possibly including part of the 1.5 I just mentioned. The valuation of this round will be discussed with the investors in the coming months. With this, we complete the human proof of concept and we developed at least 3 prototypes. And additionally, we've raised our production capacity to human standards. In 2028, we expect to start signing contracts of licensed manufacturing deals, and we're going to be cash positive. Inflection point will come sometimes in 2029 with exit opportunities that should be higher than 2 billion, either from one pharma who wants to buy it all, or private capital or hedge fund who will want to buy that machine that produces deal flow and revenues. So that's it. If the idea of improving the life of cancer patient interests you, we're here for you.
Great presentation, Francoise. Jeremy, what's your first question?
Yeah, thank you very much. I would be very interested in, I mean, that PK profile is quite impressive. So hats off to you, basically, is my comment on that.
Well, it's the mice we just observed.
But the I think it was like 7 days, or what was it per dose, the systemic circulation relative to paclitaxel?
We gave Taxol to the mice in the same quantities that they will that the human will receive, the same concentration. So sorry about this. There we are. So the same quantity was given either in Taxol or with the way the particles were loaded. And
Read more about the AUC angle, the previous slides.
This is one. Yeah.
Right here. Yes, this.
Basically, if you look at the half-life of Taxol, after half an hour, there's almost nothing. So let's say 2 hours stop. This is when Taxol is being metabolized by the kidneys and has created all its havoc in the immune system. After 7 days, the drug is still there, still in circulation. And as you've seen in the following slide, there's no impact on the white blood cells, which is our main claim for fame right now. We assume that even if we had superiority in innocuity and non-inferiority in efficacy, we would still save billions to the health systems. That's it. 21
clearance is the particle size circumvent renal clearance angle is basically what you're talking about here.
Well, yes and no. Size is optimized at 40 nanometers, so it's big enough so it doesn't get in the kidney and goes to the liver, which is and the spleen. Their job being to collect those big things. But the real secret is the fact that we can play with the the surface of the particle, and we made it neutral, stealthy, with covering it with PEG, and it's hydrophilic, contrarily to the drug. So that's why it circulates for so long without being attacked by the white blood cells.
Okay. Great questions there. Paul Stein, what questions did you have?
Sure. So what I'm wondering about in the long term is you were talking about trying to manufacture the drug for your pharma partners in the long term, and you'd like to try to keep that up. Is that the way you envision things going out, for years and years, hoping that the income that you generate, you can expand your production line, that you can provide that drug going forward? Or do you envision at some point, it's just going to break and the partners will have to manufacture their own?
The way you phrase the question, I can see what is your vision of this. I think there are three reasons to go to as far as possible and to plan for success. The first one is that if we were to go to a CMO right now, they absolutely don't understand what we do. No one does emulsion via sonication with silicon nanoparticles. So we would have to train them, and it would cost us more than what it costs right now. Getting this to human level will not cost us a lot. It's all included in the budget. The second reason is IP. We don't want to share the secrets of the scaling up that we're doing. We already got that at a 40x scale up to get to the mice level. And the third reason is that it's simply money. Someone will have to invest in the scale up and the building of brick or mortar somewhere. We can finance it with debt, with government money, and with capital. And at the time we're gonna be in a position to exit, let's say 2028, 2029, we won't have to build, but we will be ready to build. So if the pharma wants to buy that company, or if the hedge funds want to take it, anyway, they will want to produce larger quantities for commercial lots in 2030. So my view is that we have to plan for the manufacturing, knowing that we will be able easily in our own capacity to produce the relatively small human lots that we're going to need. Long answer, I'm sorry, but I'm not forcing on the investors today the manufacturing, but it is a factor of higher value in three ways.
Okay, one other question. Is there a history of pharma partnerships in the past that are of the same sort of magnitude?
You're talking about manufacturing or about licensing to many companies?
Well, manufacturing, because you're hoping to supply all the drug to these, large pharma companies, and I'm wondering, is there a history of this?
How can I say that? The honest answer is that I don't know exactly, but I'd like you to consider that to provide chemo drugs to the US is probably something between 50 and 100 kilograms per year. It's not aspirin. So the challenge is not that big. The other way to look at that question is that in 2 years, we're going to be signing the first license, and we will see what the pharma says. So there are a lot of precedents of platform technologies selling like in like tranches of salami. So you sell that territory for that indication and that molecule to Pfizer, and we sell something else to Merck. We're going to talk with them and we're going to say, do you want us to produce your clinical lots? Do you want us to start pricing what would be the manufacturing of your commercial lots in 3 years? So we'll see then. And by then you're going to be rich because you'll have exited before I start to pile brick and mortar.
Great answer there. Let's go to our last investor, Malika. What questions do you have?
Yeah, I would love to hear a little bit more about the numbers on that white blood cell data. The specificity against targeting those. I know you said that, they aren't touched at all, but, do you have those specific numbers? Is it 97, 98%?
We have this answer, but you would want someone with a PhD to talk with you. I can arrange that. I we have a saying that I look for money and that they spend it. So that's why that they will give you the answer. I will arrange something.
Okay, that would be great. Thank you.
Great. Well, we're at the end of our time today. I want to thank the presenters for a great presentation. I want to thank the investors for great questions. At this point, I always ask the investors, who would they like to follow up to learn more about? Let's start with Jeremy. Who would you like to find out more about?
I have to look at the list. Can you come back to me in like a minute?
All right. How about Paul Stein? Who would you like to learn more about?
I'd like to learn more about sonovascular. I'm not too worried about the other gorillas in the room. I've seen where a little David came along and killed a Goliath.
Okay, understand. Anybody else?
I'm actually interested in following up with everyone. So, if you could share the contact information, Hall, that would be great.
Sure. We'll make introductions with everyone. And then Jeremy, we had NGX, Pharmaceuticals, Pivotal Health, Sonovascular, and BMI. Who would you be interested in?
So Sonovascular for sure, Pharma and Silica. And then, like I said, the other ones, I'm interested in all you guys. It's just that we don't do pharma and biotech typically, so I have some constraints basically. But everybody was fantastic, is what I'm trying to say.
All
But
right.
yeah.
I'll make those introductions. Thank you guys for sharing that information today. We'll do the introductions right after this, so email so you can share information back and forth. I want to thank the audience as well. Great questions in the chat box. And if you have any questions for or interest in the deals, please contact me and I'll be glad to connect you as well. With that, we'll go ahead and wrap up for today. Thank you so much, and we'll see you guys next time.
Right.
You-
Thank you. Bye.